Okay, so pretty exciting next couple of days. We're just going to head over to the winery in a second because what we're doing in the next few days is we are bottling some of our first wines. So we're not doing everything, but we've been keeping a little secret from you, which is a little trial batch of something very cool. We weren't sure if we were even going to put it in bottle if it was no good. But we wanted to test a little idea out. Basically, it's tasting really good now. It's had like 6-7 months of aging, which for this wine is enough. And honestly, we're really happy with it. So what we're going to be doing is putting this little sample in bottle. It's going to be pretty DIY. We've only got about 100, 150 bottles to do. So it's going to be, yeah, not too intense. But we're super excited to share it with you. And I'll tell you a bit more when we get to the winery. So yeah, here we are in the winery. Look around us, there's the tanks and everything. So this is what I wanted to show you in here. So it's these two glass demijohns that are over to the side here. On the camera, they look the same as those, but they're not. So basically, these are what we're going to be putting in bottle. And what they are is that they are a very light red wine, super fruity, super clean, chillable. Drink it, you know, with charcuterie, cheese, aperitif, wherever you want. Wine with only 2 days of skin contact. So the rest of our red wines, they did, you know, about 2 weeks of skins with the juice fermenting. There we just left the skins in contact with the juice for 2 days to keep it super light, super fresh and super clean. And they've stayed in those glass demijohns ever since. So one thing I also should probably have mentioned is the reason why we are decanting the wine ready for bottling out of its current containers into new clean ones. These two ones here, as is normal, which is why you kind of separate things up a bit, they taste ever so slightly different. So they taste basically the same, but ever so slightly different. And we want every bottle to be the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to take half from each, mix them together and put them in 2 new glass containers. And so then that way, everything is the same. So you won't have 2 bottles that are different. You'll have every bottle the same. It's as simple as that. And then the other reason why we're going to decant the Les Valades red wine, which is currently in here, in this container, the steel container, into 3 glass ones, is that basically coming out of winter, the wine kind of goes through phases, and it's kind of going through a bit of a down phase at the moment. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, we think it's kind of being a bit affected by, you know, the kind of tartrate and, you know, the little bits of yeast and stuff which have deposited out of it in the cold of winter. So what we're going to do is literally just decant it into 3 clean glass baubles, and that will freshen it up a bit, liven it up a bit, and make sure things keep improving. So yeah, just kind of basic stuff, like, you know, normal to do these types of manipulations in the winery. It's all done to make a better wine in the end. So yeah, that's what we're going to crack on with. Some jobs are really, really fiddly. As I've always said, winemaking is primarily just washing stuff up. This is one of those moments, and in particular, these little things, these tubes, are a right headache to do. So you've got to get as much air out of them as possible. And then effectively to clean the inside, what you're trying to do is you're trying to rinse the inside out with water by filling them and getting them effectively to kind of flush themselves out of anything that's in there. So yeah, fiddly job. We've got to do this quite a few times over to make sure they're all clean. Okay, so we've finished disinfecting the demijohns inside where we've got the drainage. Couldn't show you that because it was just me on my own, and I was all covered up in PPE so I don't get any unwanted chemicals on me. So yeah, so we're just going to give this a quick rinse off one final time outside, and then just leave it to drip dry out in the sun. This is our final one to do. There we go. See, we're siphoning it off, the juice in here. And it's going into these 3 glass containers. Right then guys, it's been a bit of a long afternoon, but we've done it. Let's go and take a look. We go in here, which is the storage room. So a couple of things to notice. So the 2 that were down here, remember that we mixed them together and we put them in there. Sorry about the light. It's not particularly different to look at, but basically when they were 2 separate ones previously, they're now half and half. And then over here, you'll remember we had the steel tank of Les Valades. It had about 170 litres in, something like that. And then we had Les Morels over there in the steel tank. So this hasn't changed at all, that's still Les Morels. And then Les Valades, we've decanted them into here. So I mentioned to you earlier that the reason why we were decanting Les Valades into the glass containers was to kind of give them a new lease of energy, because they'd kind of deposited a load of, just solids over the winter with the cold weather that we've had. And that can just impact, how the wine's tasting. To give you an idea of what that means, we've got the, this isn't the Les Valades tank, because that's a steel tank which we've actually washed out. But I've kept hold of the 2 glass demijohns for the 2 light reds that we've mixed together, so that you can see in the bottom what I mean by the deposit. If you look down in here, look all the way in there, can you see that? It's like this thick sludge. This one's a little bit more liquid on the right. And over here is the small steel tank which had Les Valades in it. As you can see, we've cleaned it out, so it's all sparkly and clean and ready to go again for next year. But yeah, basically, so that stuff at the bottom there, it's a bit double jeopardy in a way. It's what we call in winemaking the lees. So it's the kind of dead yeast cells and solid particles in the wine. It's on the one hand really beneficial, but on the other hand can become an issue for your wine. Basically, it's beneficial because when you leave your wine in contact with it, basically you get something called like yeast autolysis, to get really nerdy, and it can give really nice aromas to your wine. It can also make your wine have like more body, to feel sort of lusher, plusher, more drinkable. So it's kind of like it's an amazing thing. However, if they're sometimes a bit dirty, or just sometimes if they just start not making your wine kind of taste the best way, they can start kind of giving you like what we call like reductive notes in winemaking, which can be good up to a point, but if you get too many, then it becomes a problem and it becomes a bit of an issue. So yeah, basically it's always like a game of leaving it on the lees, always testing it, checking it, tasting it, seeing if it's going in the right direction. If it's not, then what you do is you then decant it and you take it off that set of lees. It'll deposit some more, and then hopefully you'll start getting some good aromas back. So it's just this like continual thing as the wine's maturing, of always kind of just like cleaning it, keeping it refreshed. It's not something you do every week. It you might do it once, twice, 3 times over the time that you leave the wine to mature, depending on how long you leave it for. But yeah, I thought that was just a pretty cool thing. So what do we do with the waste lees? Well, basically by law in France, we have to provide it to the distillery. So there's a local distillery. It's not like a whiskey distillery or cognac or anything like that. It's like an industrial alcohol distillery. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to come around and they are going to pump this tank that we have over here. It's not particularly full, but there's enough in it. They're going to come and pump this, and basically in return we'll get a piece of paper saying that we provided our waste lees to the distillery. They're going to turn it into like industrial alcohol, and that will go into stuff like, I don't know, hand sanitizer and things like that. So yeah, that's basically what happens to it. So I'm just tidying up the final things here, and I spotted something which I haven't shown you before. So it's this bag of corks. This is just a few of them. This is just like a sample bag. But basically these are the corks that we're going to be using on Sunday. So this is it. This is the cork. It's called Crystal X. It's made by a company called Bourrasé, which is a cork manufacturer. And it's special because it is guaranteed 0 taints or faults. You know, you've heard of corked wine. That's when there's a cork with a chemical compound in it called TCA. There's also some other ones as well. And basically that gets into the wine and it ruins that bottle of wine. So these are made by taking natural cork, grinding it up into these particles, which you can sort of see there. And then effectively what they do is they treat all of the particles, which is much easier to do because then like you can actually get the product onto them because they're much smaller. And then they push it back all together and create a cork shape again. So yeah, so they're great because we don't have much wine this year, so we don't want to lose any or have any faulty bottles. The other great thing about them is that they're insanely high quality. So they're guaranteed by the manufacturer 10 years of aging. So you can age your wine 10 years without any issues. Anecdotally, I know people who've used you know, these corks and these types of corks. There are other suppliers who do really good ones as well. Who've used them for over 10 years and the wines are absolutely great. They're still perfect with even less variation that you would get with natural cork. So yeah, so they're really great product. I think for consumers, they're brilliant. Like there's just no reason why you shouldn't be enjoying wines made with these. In fact, loads of really great wines in Burgundy and elsewhere are corked using those. So yeah, that's what's going in the bottles this weekend. So it's the afternoon, everything cleaned, disinfected, prepared. I told you guys it was going to be DIY. Romain's just arrived and we've managed to set up ready for the bottling. You need to check this out. Come on, let's go and have a look. So here we go. This is our setup. So on the left here, in there, we have all of our wonderful bottles. Up on the right here, you'll recognize these two. These are the 2 glass demijohns of the wine that's going in bottle. It's going to come down here, be siphoned off into our bottling machine, which is down on the floor. So I'll probably be doing the bottles down here. And then behind me, we have Romain, who's going to be on the cork machine and putting the bottles in some cases there. So very DIY. Actually super impressed that we managed to get these up on there. They've got about 55 litres in each, so it's super heavy. But we managed to manipulate them into these baskets that they have, which have handles on the side. And then we created our little fortress of pallets there because basically we need it to be much higher than the bottling machine so that you can get a really good flow down into it and fill the bottles fast enough. So yeah, let's finish setting up and get into it. Bien, tu penses que ça fait le taf? Bon, attends. Faut un poil plus. Un poil. Un peu trop. Verse là-dedans. Tiens, regarde. So we are done for the day. Look at all of these wonderful full bottles that we have here. So yeah, happy days. And here are the remnants of, well, there's nothing because we mixed the 2 yesterday. There was no sediment. It was, well, we mixed it a couple of days ago. Completely clean. And here I am as well with the dregs. The Clairet light red wine, 2025. You can see the lovely pale pinkish reddish color there. Exciting times. So there you have it. 1 glass that didn't fit in the final bottle. So there you go, cheers. And so as soon as we're done, we start again. Now the tidy up begins. So we started the day, or we started 2 days ago with cleaning and disinfecting. We started today with cleaning, disinfecting, and guess what? Now we've emptied everything. All of that there is ripe for cleaning and disinfecting. Like I said, 99% of being a winemaker, vineyard owner is cleaning, disinfecting. 1% is actually making wine and tasting wine and stuff. Don't be fooled, guys. So there we have it, guys. Just locking up after another long day in the winery. So all of the claret, the pale red wine, is in bottle now. Done all the tidying up. So you can see down there, got all of this nice and clean, disinfected. The glass demi-johns over there, clean, disinfected, everything. So yeah, great result. And then behind us, we're not going to go in the cold room, settling down, is all of the bottles. So 140 40 odd we got this year. So as we always said, it's a tiny yield because the vines have been abandoned, but we're so happy with how it tastes. I had a glass there, as you saw at the end. So yeah, it's not going to be hitting the market yet. When it does hit the market, then we will we'll let you all know where you can go and buy it. So just locked up, but actually just thought I'd explain why it's not hitting the market yet. So there's something in wine called bottle shock, and that's basically when you've just put your wine in bottle, it kind of always tends to go through a phase of a couple of months of, like, you know, just sort of almost like closing in on itself. It's not a problem. After a couple of months, it always comes round. It doesn't happen every time, but it's a bit nicer for people. If you buy a bottle of wine, you want it to be showing in the best way possible. So usually what winemakers do is they put things in bottle, wait a few months, just let everything settle down, let the wine get used to being in the bottle, and then release it to the market. So yeah, stay tuned, everyone. Like I said, it's tasting absolutely delicious, and we've got tiny quantities, 146 bottles, and that's got to go amongst everyone. So yeah, stay tuned, keep in touch. We'll let you know when things are going up for sale. Thanks.